appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I am DJ Falk, and welcome to Studio Stories Live. We are taping this, so I don't care if you hoot, holler, and all that kind of stuff. Just know that it will be on camera later. No hand stuff while we're on camera, at least. Only hand stuff. Only hands. That's the next website we're going to launch from here in Atlanta. Thanks, guys. That's what we're here for. Announcement. No, so I know we're kind of started a little bit early today, and usually on a Saturday, people right now are trying to get dinner. And so I really appreciate y'all coming out and having a good time and having some drinks. I'm sure it will continue to be that way for the rest of the evening. So just a little background, because I know a lot of folks have seen Studio Stories and NETFREQtv over the past few years, so just like a little introduction to tonight. Studio Stories Live is actually our third offering from Studio Stories, which is our flagship property under NETFREQtv, which is our platform, which we have been working on for years. We initially started, I know a lot of y'all folks have been here from the beginning, started off wanting to be a multicam platform back in the day for videos, and it evolved into a production company for brands, and then it evolved into both. And we're now here producing our own content, our own original series, and starting to do curated events like this one. And so Studio Stories Live is exactly that. It's the next edition of Studio Stories. And so originally the series started off as a collaborative type experience. I wanted people to come on camera. I wanted them to share their stories of sitting in a dark room, turning knobs and making our art sound better, do better, feel better, whatever it was. I've been lucky enough that over my career, I have worked with a lot of the folks in this room. I've worked with a lot of folks around the country and around the world that, bring their art to life in so many different ways, that there's not always a voice for that art in a way that they want. They want a better platform. They want another way to do it. And in the world of social media where we're at right now, where everybody has a voice, that's great. But our voice in post-production, in the production world, isn't always received in the way that we'd like. And so this is partly what it is. It is very much a platform for the creatives to be who they are, to share their art, and to share where they're going with their art. Overall, I wanted the theme to be collaboration. And so that's where a lot of the conversations are going to come from tonight. You're going to see speakers talking about their art and what they do to either one, collaborate with the community and the other folks that are in this room or, within their network, and then also collaborate with themselves. I mean, you got to have a real conversation with yourself sometimes about how you can do art better, how you can get it in front of people better, how it can be received better, and so that's where I think that the conversation from a personal insight from some of these talented folks should be, hold close to the chest. Like, you're learning some really valuable information from folks that are here in the entertainment industry. And I know that, we're learning on a Saturday. It's not, okay, no, we're having drinks. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy ourselves. And that's exactly what Studio Stories Live is supposed to be. A great time, a curated live experience that everybody gets to network and enjoy themselves. And so, we're going to have tonight a panel, and then we're going to have a few different speakers. And then at the end of the night, we're going to have some DJs. And so, I appreciate everybody coming out. And, I'm really excited. And so I think we're going to go ahead and get the panel rolling just because that's the big highlight. And the panel's title is The Future of Atlanta, and obviously this is a very small segment of the future of Atlanta. I think from my personal insight, the future of Atlanta is one that we've already seen, 10 years ago. We already knew this was coming. We knew that even back in the 90s when the Olympics came here that this city has a bright future. There's always been big things happening here from even before that, going back way outside the entertainment industry, but civil rights, that entire movement was birthed out of Atlanta. And so I think that where we're going is really a big reflection of the past. As much as we've, been an exponential, growth pattern for the past, few decades, we're going to see it even more in the future. And so I'm really excited. We got some great speakers. We got some really good insight information. And so, without further ado, let's get this panel started. So, Mr. Russell, Kebba, and Jeremy Avalon. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm going to come sit over here at the end. Oh, wait. I'm going to give this one to y'all, so that way y'all have one on y'all side. And so I'm going to moderate this bad boy just because I know all of these gentlemen, and it is going to be extremely interesting. And it's been a very long time for actually all three of them. I think that, some of my favorite stories throughout my career have come with y'all three in a lot of different ways. And so... welcome to the stage, Mr. Jeremy Avalon. In continuing the conversation around the future of Atlanta, I think that, one of the main things that you're going to see highlighted in this panel is events. That's one of the strongest things that, like, even like I mentioned a second ago, from the Olympics to now the World Cup is in our crosshairs. We've had Super Bowls, we've had World Series. Each of these guys have, in their own unique right, been a part of the events industry here. And so, I'd like you guys to go ahead and introduce yourselves one by one. Little highlight reel over 1 minute, and where you're at right now in your career. Russ, let's start with you, man.
Yeah, I'm Russ Lopinto. I'm with R3, and I also work with a company called M2 Events Group. You all might know it as Music Matters. I've been in the live events industry since 1984, really 86. I came to Atlanta working for Turner in broadcast journalism and ended up getting into the live events world. Pretty much right when the Olympics were coming to town. So that was the first big live Atlanta experience that I got to work doing light, sound, and video for corporate events and things of that nature. Coming into the future, I think the exciting thing is things like the World Cup that's coming here. It's almost like a rebirth of what happened with the Olympics. So from my end of the world, in what I do, again, which is corporate rock and roll as well as regular rock and roll. If you think of Shaky Knees, Shaky Beats, all of those festivals, I work with those folks, but I also do Coca-Cola and AT&T and Chick-fil-A corporate staging events. We just came from Vegas doing a 15,000 person event for 7-Eleven. So it's corporate rock and roll. And so anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Kebba, born and raised in Harlem, New York. Came down here to Atlanta almost 16 years ago with the hopes and dreams of living in the entertainment world through music. I was rapping for a very long time. I was one of those guys that managed to happen to be outside every single night in somebody's club talking to everyone with a whole heap of Jameson and a lot of nights that I'll never remember with people that I'll never forget. In the time, though, of meeting a million different people and watching Atlanta grow, taking my hustle from New York and trying to apply it here, the world shifted to the gig economy, whereas a creative such as myself didn't have to work a 9-to-5. We could do a million different things and still focus on our passion. I eventually decided to step away from music and try my hand at writing screenplays, and by the grace of God, through my network that I had established through music, I was able to land a couple of gigs writing screenplays for people independently here in Atlanta. That led to one, which led to another. And, people always ask me, like, why are you still in Atlanta? How come you didn't go to L.A.? Because I spent a good amount of time in L.A. because a lot of deals are done out there. But like DJ said, Atlanta it's the mecca for all things entertainment. Atlanta influences everything is a slogan that you'll see on T-shirts and sweatshirts around here. But the fact of the matter is, it's all here, from college sports to professional sports to movies to music. At the end of the day, I don't need to go anywhere. It's better for me to be in this pond than to try to go out there and try to be somebody and just be ignored. I'm going to bust my ass and I'm going to do the work here and I'm going to get that bag, whether they acknowledge it or not. And I'm here to let you guys know it's simply a thing of networking, talking, and sticking to your passion. That's about it. It doesn't matter what field you're in, and I'm living proof of it. I make decent money. I have a shit ton of fun. I travel 3 months out of the year. And what I do for a living is right. I couldn't ask for a better life. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Jeremy Avalon from the Werc crew, Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, so my background is in music. I've been DJing and playing music since I was a teenager. I was in a rock and roll band with this guy right here, Simon Stone, Heavy Mojo. We had a little deal back in the day, but it didn't last long, but we here. So yeah, I put guitar, DJing, I've always done it. But when I went to college, I started getting into television, and I worked in television for many years for Cartoon Network and those type of those type of companies. And then, I got back to music when we had massive layoffs at Cartoon Network one year. And this was my dream job, the job that everybody was like, that music stuff is cool, but, you need to get a real, stay in college and get a real job. And I did that, and it was beneficial and it was good to learn that corporate side of things, but I never felt a part of that at all. So after massive layoffs at Turner, I found myself back into music, and I met some partners, and we just started really grinding, doing a lot of DIY events. There wasn't a lot of, I guess, infrastructure here. Especially if you're not a native of Atlanta. A lot of times, like I don't know. There's a lot of like legacy stuff going on here. So if like you're just from somewhere else, it's hard to kind of get in the mix. Or that could be even from the suburbs into the city, So it was challenging, but we started, grinding, doing a lot of, like I said, DIY events. And we just grew our branding and just grew our events. Our aesthetic is more so the bottle popping, pretentious. This is like underground Manhattan, 1983, like that kind of vibe. The vibe that everybody says that they love, but they go out to those type of places. So we wanted to make this popular. So we started a lot of different events. Our biggest event right now is an R&B party called The Groove. We do it at the Masquerade. We travel with it. I also travel with a traveling art show called Art Beats and Lyrics with Jack Daniels. And it's a traveling art show with predominantly artists of color and women artists that are promoted the most. And it's incredible. It's an incredible show. There's great art. It's free Jack Daniels, so that's a good incentive to watch art. But I just found my way back into music that way, and I still utilize those college skills, those TV broadcasting skills also, because the more you know, the more jobs you can get. So I try to do a little everything. That's it.
No, I really appreciate all three y'all being up here, and I'm actually going to stand up so we can make this pass off a little easier here since we're having technical difficulties. First time event, thank you guys. And I think, Jeremy, you hit a really good spot, and this is a good segment to start with because you can't really talk about the future until you talk about the past and the things that have happened in the past, the things that, have really got us as a foundation to here. And so one of my favorite things, we'll come back to this in a second, I want to give a big shout out to folks like Alex Cooley back in the day with bringing all the venues, establishing this place as a live entertainment capital. Like, you could come here and see anybody music-wise. Like, when people weren't booking those artists, Alex Cooley brought them. I mean, he saved the Fox Theater here in the 1980s, if you don't know that story. He is the reason we still have the Fox, and he's the reason we have a huge entertainment industry in Atlanta. And so learning that history, and I kind of want to go back into, since I know both of you guys have been around venues in Atlanta a lot, what's your favorite legacy venue that's not here anymore? And I'm going to start with you, Russ.
Well, to say the Omni as a legacy venue, it wasn't the perfect legacy venue, but it was the place to go see the big rock and roll shows when they came to town. There wasn't stadiums back in the day, so there was, but nobody was really playing them. Elvis played and I didn't see that show, but Elvis played at the Omni. I mean, saw Springsteen, Frank Sinatra. You name it. So you're talking about old school. That would be one of them. Again, I've been here since like I said, since 1984. Went to University of South Carolina, graduated there originally from Jersey. If you couldn't tell from the accent, Jersey. But anyway, so the venues that were here when I came, some of them are still here, and talk about a legacy venue that's still here, like the Center Stage. Still one of my favorite places to see a show from the very beginning, and it still is. So there you go.
Oh, man. That was a good one. But let me think. More venues or like a bar situation? All right, so for me, This is because I played there a lot with my late friend Speaker Fox on Fridays. It was El Bar, like, you know, the hole in the wall right under El Ponce, the Mexican restaurant. Just a little silver door, you would never know it's there, but that's where all the parties were. And you would see, I've seen, you know, some of everybody, you know, actors come in town, they want somewhere to kind of duck off and, you know, not be seen, but still have fun and just be treated like everybody else. Those were the type of spots, so I'd say El Bar, for sure.
Kebba, what's your favorite place to go to currently? That I know you're a man of many talents, so like, where's your favorite place to go show off
Damn. See, you have my brain going on old spots. So old spots, it was definitely Vision and Compound. Before I moved to Atlanta in 2007, those were everything. Now, I think today, I like lounges more. Like lounges, just chill, low key, like Whiskey Mistress, and Red Martini as well. It's cool. Just chill.
Continuing the conversation around venues, like what do you think is more important with, you know, maintaining a great venue? Let's see. Do you think that, you know, places have survived like the Tabernacle and some of these larger places, Center Stage, because of the companies that's with them and the talent that they bring in, or is it just because the community really likes them? Like, do you think it's because, I mean, some places don't have the best audio, you know what I mean? Some places everything goes out. Shout out the audio going out. But, you know, like what is the one keystone factor for you that always brought you back there? Let's go there. Pass it on down that way.
You know, to me, it's always the people that book the entertainment for the venue. I mean, the thing about Center Stage is they always had great entertainment. And from '84 till today. I mean, I still go there. And places, and again, so you got the small venues like that up to the venues like the Fox and even the Cobb Energy Center. Atlanta is one of these towns, I'll tell people this, I think you can see great music here more than most any other city in the country. There's something for everybody every night of the week. And when I travel, and I do travel a lot doing my events, I'm always looking for live music, and I'm always hunting down whether it be blues, country, rock, jazz, you name it. And it's harder in other cities. And I don't care whether it's New York, even Chicago. I think Atlanta's got a great music scene. You go to Creative Loafing, and you go find what you want. So I jumped around there a little bit, but from a music standpoint, you know, you can pick your venue, Smith's Old Bar to Center Stage to whatever you like. You know, if you want country, go up to, you know, there's a couple places up in Cobb. Yeah, up in your neck of the woods, right? But anyway, I'm a big fan of the Atlanta music scene because, again, when people come to town, I can always find something for them.
For me, I used to love going to Masquerade. They always had awesome live music. I performed there. I've been there as a spectator and an act, and it's just quality. You know, places that don't necessarily look the greatest, you know, from New York City. So the little shitty hole in the walls, I like that. When something looks a little bit fucked up, it's awesome for me. And Atlanta has, like, El Bar was one of those spots. Like, you'd walk in there like, what the fuck is this? And then an hour later, this is the best night of my life. Like, that Atlanta has a lot of different spots like that. So it's hard for me to pinpoint Masquerade off top because that's the only spot that I've been at on both sides of it. And for me, it was just like, I fucking love this place.
Well, I'll just, you know, I'll keep it simple. I'll tell you a venue that I actually like. How about that? So I say one of my favorite venues in this city, and I definitely say probably the Tabernacle. I've probably seen, like, I just love the aesthetic. It's like an old church. It's pipe organs everywhere. And I've seen everybody from Billy Idol to Prince to Lenny Kravitz to Block Party to The Roots, Erykah Badu. I've seen everybody there, all different type of music, and I really like that venue. And I think it's a flagship venue for the city, you know? You know, every city has, you know, the Fillmore or this theater or that theater. Like, I don't know. I think the Tabernacle needs more props nationally, for sure.
Well, I definitely heard a common theme there, and I definitely, this is a great place to expand into that. And I think that everybody here mentioned good talent in each venue. And so to continue the conversation from the past into current and in the future, what is something you can recommend for folks, whether it's business owners, whether it's brands, whether it's people that just like to go out? How do you see us retaining good talent in the city? Somebody like you, for example, this is a perfect example of why I will say this out loud, and I will put this on camera. I will put this in front of everybody. Jeremy Avalon is one of my favorite DJs I've ever seen perform. And like, yeah, he's one of my best friends, and like I can say that all day, but I've been all over the world following DJs. I manage DJs. And still, hands down, this guy is one of the best production guys, top to bottom, whether he's producing his own music, whether he's flipping somebody else's, or whether he's just showing you how to dance to a good time to Bee Gees or something from back in the day you know how to dance to. How do y'all see that we retain good talent here? Is it because we need to do better with our venues and do better bookings and bringing, different talent through? Because we can see anybody and everybody, but you don't always hear about that. Like, I mean, there's sometimes 3 weeks go by and they're like, yo, hey, I saw this concert, I saw a post. Like, so what is a big way for us to keep talent here? What is our way to have retention with that? Is it more media outlets? Is it better venues? Is it better bookers? What do you think it is? Right back to you, devil's advocate.
All right, so I'll say this, and some people might feel ways, but this is a panel, I can say it, right? I'll say that if you're an artist, especially an artist of color and a progressive kind of off the beaten path, not even off the beaten path, but you're not in the mainstream rapping about codeine and stuff like that, or like Real Housewife type mainstream kind of vibe. If you don't do that, the limit is the sky for you. Move, you know what I'm saying? But Atlanta, the good thing is people work together and we grind and hustle together, but we can only get so far. If I'm in New York, and I've traveled all over the world, I put the talent here up against anybody in the world, but we don't have the infrastructure. There's nobody who can come by, no journalist who can write. We can have the best events ever, right? But there's nobody who can write a check to change my life, like if I'm in another major city. And they don't have half the talent that we have, But there's nobody that can just come by and be like, hey, I'm a writer from XYZ, New York Times, blah, blah, blah. And then we get this crazy write-up, and now, like, we don't have that here. Our only export is culture. And that's not worth a lot, Because we still have to go to New York. We still have to go to LA. We still have to go to these places because we don't have that industry here at all, And only a very few, especially I'm talking about music, very few sounds are allowed to the mainstream or accepted to the mainstream from Atlanta. Where's our Kendrick? We have some of the best lyricists down here, Saha the Prince, JID, but because they are not, I don't want to name other, because I like their music too, but they're the only ones accepted across the board mainstream. And we still, it's not allowed from us when we have everything too, We have so many great artists, all different type of genres, and it's just like they're not checking. They want the culture from here, but they're not checking for artists from here outside of very, very few types of music and types of lifestyle and if things you're promoting, So.
And how do we do better then? Is it just get the money here, get the checks here, like get the brands here? What do you think it is?
It's gonna take a few generations. I feel like the people who could have changed those type of things, I'm just saying more so in music, they didn't have the foresight that, oh man, there's people we're leaving behind and we need to cultivate some type of culture or whatever. They left. So it just left a big gap, a generation. So now we don't have venues. We have great venues, but we don't have, it took the local promoter out. So now when I try to get a venue, I can't because Live Nation or one of these other big touring entities with millions and gazillions of dollars, they have it booked, or some, I don't know, some labels sometimes control venues, and their artists are automatically put above the, so there's a lot of that here, a whole lot of that here. So I don't know what we can do. I say, if we don't start bringing those type of bringing those type of entities here for the generation behind us, like, we're just gonna export culture, and that's, we're just getting robbed that way.
I think the beautiful thing about being dope is that people want to follow you. And Atlanta is dope. Everyone wants to be here. Everyone wants to live the lifestyle that they're seeing portrayed in these movies, in these TV shows, in the music videos, so on and so forth. So as creatives and entrepreneurs, I think the answer is a quote I say all the time. You're never going to get anywhere until the journey becomes your destination. And the fact of the matter is that if you do the work, if you shut up and do the work, whatever your passion is, whatever that thing is, and you continuously do it and do it and do it, you're going to excel. The answer, also support everyone else that's putting that work in. Not the people that are just, they're popping already, right? Fuck them. They're already doing what it is. If you like it, then support it. But if you see someone that's a fellow DJ and he's doing his thing, or somebody else that's doing marketing and he's up and coming, or is a writer, just be like, here, this is what I know. Give them the gems. Support them. Let other people know. If you have friends in a circle, oh, you having studio? Fuck it, I'll pull up. You need somebody else to come? Sure, I'll invite everybody else. You have to spread the word, and that's how we're winning. I know in hip-hop, Atlanta won because there was unity. In New York, everybody wants to kill each other at all times. That's what I love. New York. That's home. That's always going to be home. I wear this shit every day. But it's too dog eat dog. It's two crabs in a barrel. Here in Atlanta, I think the success comes from here, let's help each other. Let's do this. Like Tyler Perry's winning because he's pulling other actors that are living here and like, hey, come on, I got something for you. Here, you want to work in my studio? Cool. You don't want to be in a Tyler Perry film, but you have your own production? Cool. Shoot it here. No problem. Like, if we focus on our passion and do the work and support other people, I think we see it in this lifetime, in this generation, this become not even the next Hollywood, just the first real Atlanta. Just something definitive that we can own as people that live here. And we just got to put a sign up at the airport that says we're full, because this traffic is dumb.
I'll just say that I think this follows your theme of collaboration, and what you were talking about is networking. I think what you said about Atlanta early on in terms of the hip-hop scene, in terms of becoming what it was people communicate. They work together, and quite honestly, if I need any help, I reach out to DJ. If DJ needs, he knows what I do. And again, Atlanta's always been like that, at least in my world and what I do. I mean, there really aren't any, there might be competitors, but you'll work with them. And that's true, I think, like you said, as opposed to in New York or in LA. I can't speak ill of them, but I know what works here, and it is collaboration. So.
I love that. And, to be completely honest, that's exactly why I wanted Studio Stories to turn into what it is now, with this live aspect and being able to get together with folks and talk, collaborate, network. Because you said it earlier about, specifically creative loafing. We don't really have the media and the attention here. We have TNT and TBS and all that, but you don't see them out covering people. You don't see them doing movie premieres. We have the world's biggest studio over here, and there's not movie premieres going on. So I think that, the infrastructure definitely needs to get built out and support more from the outside in. And I definitely agree that, the money needs to come here from just more than the infrastructure. The creative money needs to come here because, I will say that the reason why I was so eager after I left Tree Sound and after we started NETFREQtv and I really got my claws into the entertainment industry, what I saw was that the video aspect was coming. It was there. You know what I mean? Everybody at the labels were all talking about how do we sell MP3s, what's going to happen now. Nobody's buying. There's no mechanical royalties, so artists can't make money. And they're mad at us because we're taking like 50% of their check, 360 deals, all that kind of stuff. So like the creative side, we don't really have the support the way that we do. And that's what I want Studio Stories to eventually become, is where like we have that media. We have somebody here that is creating events that, cultivates collaboration, because at the end of the day, shout out, shout out to our corporate sponsors, the ones that cut our checks for their projects. They are the ones that basically have got us to here. Our company has grown, and our network has grown thanks to our corporate clients. We go work for them, we bust ass, we tell their stories, but then we come back and we still have a job to do in sharing other people's stories, our team story. Literally every person on the stage has helped me in some degree for some events, not just some, like many events. And everybody in the crowd too, like we've all collaborated in a way that like we're trying to do better for each other as well as ourselves. And so, I think that, one thing that also sticks out is that, I have the biggest optimistic heart of all time. Like, I think that I will always go blind into we can do it better, and like that might be how I shoot myself in the foot sometimes. But I think that we also do have to be real that like there is a need in the capital to come in. There is a need for people to be able to be like, no, I see the idea. I see what you're doing. Like, don't get me wrong. You need a business plan. You need to build it out and do some of those things. Like, we have literally for years been building our own business plan and working. And so thankfully I've got mentors and friends. And I would say the one thing that I can recommend to folks in order to keep and retain talent here, and this goes for all of us as well, we need mentors and we need mentees. We need to be able to have people come to us, talk to us, and we need to be able to share our knowledge and exchange that information of, hey, we've been through this. If you don't have to do that, let me show you how to do it better. And so, I think that that's where our future lies, is collaboration in an up and down fashion, where like, you go up the ladder, and luckily I'm thankful that, this is where we're gonna go into the next part, is the infrastructure. Like, I'm lucky that one of my mentors is big in the infrastructure world. He's building studios all around the world. He's built a studio here that, Atlanta Metro Studios. It is huge, and that money is all great. The one thing that he told me, he was like, creative is always gambling, and you got to find a really dumb gambler. And so, like, I think that what we need to do is, like what you're saying, translate the culture into a good investment in a way that, like, if you have a platform idea that's going to help support other people, like other people need to recognize outside that we're not Silicon Valley, but we can hire those bad boys with your check. So, like that's exactly where, I want to go with this. Like, what do you see from a technology perspective in the future that could help you here in Atlanta? Like, what is it better staging? Is it better, like, man, I want like, Serato to start coming in and giving us like decks and like, let's do events like that. Like, what is it? Do you want more brands? Do you want more technology? Like, what is it for you that is the next step? And this will probably be the last question.
I'll say like one thing that we'll have to change is we're gonna have to bend the culture a little bit, It's still the South, it's still the Bible Belt. People won't go outside if it's too cold. People won't go outside if it's raining a little bit. But we're all from New York or the tri-state area in some capacity. If it's cold, we're still going out. If it's raining, we're still going out. We just don't have that culture here to support nightlife. Like, there's very few places, they're very questionable, you know what I mean, that you can go, like, really late at night. Like, you could find some cool disco at 4 a.m. in Berlin somewhere, and it'd be all good, but you can't find that here just because the culture doesn't support that, People want to be home at a certain time. People don't, after work, people go home, and then they'll come out later at night maybe. But we don't have happy hour culture here. We don't have a lot of those type of things. So we're going to have to be really, really creative to navigate that, because when I see my fellow DJs in other countries and other cities, they're booked all the time, all day, different events, things come in town, the local people are picked. But here, we get a lot of, it's very international. We get a lot of out of town, like, stuff like that. So I feel like the culture needs to change. We need to kind of stop being so, like, in Atlanta, it's still very segregated, like extremely segregated, Even amongst the ethnicities, it's extremely segregated, I remember this one time, the major pop station and the major R&B station decided to do a unity night, right? Let's do a unity night. Nobody, like, the more the hip hop side came, and like nobody from the pop station like came at all. So we still have that stigma. We have to learn like we can hang out with anybody. You know, if we're this international city we claim to be, we need to start acting like it. You know, so I think if the culture changes, that part of the culture, as well as media, because right now, I'm sorry, like you can only aspire to be on Creative Loafing. That's the highest media locally you can aspire to be on. I wanted to be on the Lust list so bad every February, you know what I'm saying? Like that, but see, I mean, but that we the artists here, we deserve more than that, you know. So we need more infrastructure, more media that matters, you know, more media that is that has some clout and could write bigger checks to support the artists here, because there's other towns, Austin, Nashville, they support their live music scene. You know, when we do, when I go to shows, festivals, I'm like, the people that like the kind of music that we do, they're here. But where are they during the week? They'll only come to the big shows and the big festival, blow their rent on Beyonce, but they won't see their local R&B act during the week. So that's got to change. We got to change that culture. You know, so that's the only way I can really see it helping.
I think, again, stemming from, you know, supporting each other, having a certain level of camaraderie amongst creatives, whether they're in your field or not, and standing firm for that. Like, for me, again, I have to go to LA a lot for screenplays, and the thing that sucks is, a lot of times I'll bump into people that are just disingenuous, or they're trying to get where they want to go, but they're not even doing a half decent job of being who they are. They're working so hard at trying to put a presentation on. And I think Atlanta hasn't gotten there yet. You know, people are still aspiring to do things, but it's not just flat out fake. And if we can stay away from that, that'll help us get to the point where we can walk that tightrope line of doing the bigger business with the Turners and the other companies that are here, but also hitting the smaller venues, because it's not going to be, once we are only doing TNT, the city's going to suck. It's going to be oversaturated. None of us are going to want to be here. We need that underground culture that I can only hear this here. So I think if we're genuine and we're supporting and we're mindful of this, right? If you're intentionally doing these things as a creative or entrepreneur, because that's what I'm speaking to. I'm not talking to anybody else who wants to go the regular route. The most commonly traveled road is the one of mediocrity. None of us in this room have any intention of being mediocre. That's why we're here. The fact of the matter is, talk to each other, support each other, and be true to who you are and what you're looking for. Because if you're not doing that, the city's going to go to shit super fast. Because there's a whole bunch of eyes on us, and everything that glitters is, you don't want the shiny shit all the time. You know, all money isn't necessarily good. But in my heart of hearts, you could call it naive, but I think we can do that. Just be genuine, good fucking people and focus on what you love. And I think we'll be good.
What's interesting is I think with the World Cup coming in a couple of years here, when you talk about venues like the Tabernacle, you know, and even what's Heaven, Hell, Purgatory, most of these great venues were birthed by the Olympics. You know, they didn't exist, and a lot of the underground scenes that popped up stuck around. I think I've got you talk about Pollyanna. I've got great hopes for the next couple of years and what's being built out here, and the eyes of the world. Not just, you know, the Olympics bring the eyes of the world, but definitely the World Cup is going to bring a set of eyes and money and the opportunity to collaborate, unlike the city's seen since 1996. You know, we've got a great opportunity. So again, Pollyanna, I think, you know, there's opportunities, and I think if we network and we say, by the way, I've got an opportunity, I hear something, you know, I know who I'll call. So
Yo, I definitely love the conversation, and I think that, yeah, we obviously have a lot of work to do. You know, and I think that's also what's great about being at the top right now in the sense of where we are as a city and as what we are as a market. Like, we are at the top of the entertainment industry right now, film, television, music, you know. So I think that why, you know, we do have obviously some pessimism in the sense of, like, it could be way better because, like, we are so good that we should be doing this better. Like, you know, it's a disappointment, but also at the same time, it's also kind of a concern that, like, yo, if we fall, it's gonna be a long fall. And so, like, that's also where, like, you know, keeping the talent here, keeping the stuff here, I think that I absolutely agree that the optimism that I have over the next few years, and that's exactly why we're starting to do events and get things together in a way that, like, we can bring people together, and when the eyes of the world get here in 2026, we're ready. And it's, hey, you know, you want to be here, you come from Argentina to watch them try to win the World Cup again, you want to go to the best Latinx dance spot, like, we can tell you where to go, that kind of stuff. And, you know, like, you know, Pero 404 and some of our friends that do really great events here, like, there's a huge Hispanic population, and their scene is always going on and always having fun. La Hacienda and some of those places, like, you know. And so I think as we move forward, my optimism is that we will continue to have great people like y'all pushing each other and working in your respective fields, but also, you know, people like that came in the audience tonight that are willing to work and network and make sure that, like, we continue to be the best in what we're doing. Because when those eyes get here, it's going to be one hell of a party, but, you know, at the same time, we got to show up and show out. So, speaking of showing out, guys, I'm going to show y'all off the stage. I appreciate it so much. Thank y'all so much. You know, this has been a great panel. First one knocked out. Wow, thank y'all. Like, holy, dang, my heart's like racing on things right now. Thank you, guys. All right, I think we're going to take a little break here. Thank you, sir. Gonna take a little break, go get your drinks refilled, food, munch, and I think I got people blowing up my inbox to get in, so.